Good morning. My name is Shelley Negrani. I'm a member of this congregation, and I'm excited to serve as your worship associate today, especially because I get to wear cat's ears. On behalf of our minister, the Reverend Dave Dunn, our music director, Alex Peach, our director of religious exploration, Lexi Tagney, the greeters and ushers, and the tech team led by Bruce Langston, I welcome you to Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North, which we lovingly call UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community. Many of us come here because here we have the opportunity to engage in an open-minded and compassionate search for truth and for purpose, being mindful of the love we hold for one another and for the world in which we live. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whomever you love, you are welcome here. If you're visiting with us for the first time, we would appreciate it if you would stand and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, or if you're returning after a long time of not being here. If you would just stand and introduce yourself, tell us where you're from so that we can get to know you. Great. Welcome. So it was Monica and Phil. All right. Welcome, welcome. Do we have any visitors on my right? No? Okay. Welcome. So everyone is invited to join us for coffee and conversation after the service. Coffee is available in Fellowship Hall. I do have some announcements. Second hour offerings today will be the service reflection, which will be held in Fellowship Hall, and also there's the music MUUSIC Jam Share, and that will be held here in the sanctuary. So we have an announcement from our Director of Religious Exploration, Lexi Tagney.
Good morning. I know what you're thinking. It's a little early for Halloween. But that's okay. I came to remind you that we're having our Autumn Festival this Saturday from 4 to 8 here at UUMAN. Everybody is invited. We are still looking for some volunteers to man booths for games and bring some food to share. I would love it if you came and found me after the service so we could talk more. Thank you.
We have an announcement from Miriam, our board, from Jennifer, about our Harvest Moon auction.
Miriam made me do it today. Good morning, all. I'm Jennifer Philippi. I am your UUMAN treasurer, and I am here today to invite you to our Harvest Moon Festival that is happening November 5th, about to give you the wrong date, at 7 p.m. right here. You can get a glimpse of some of our live auction items right outside. Some beautiful baskets, some lovely gift cards, which actually we don't have the gift cards on display, so don't look for those. And there will be more items available for your viewing pleasure starting next Sunday via the Octria app. We have a QR code outside that you can scan for the Octria app. You can use that to both register for the event and to bid on items. We are hoping to open bidding early so that you guys can start to, raise the prices, right, for us? No. So that you can get a look at all the auction items. And one of the things that we really like to do is we like to plan our annual calendar and calendar all of our events based on the dinner dinners and the game nights and the other fabulous fun things that are going on. There's kayaking, there's hikes, there's picnics, there's so many wonderful things. So you guys be sure to join us. Again, you can join us in person or online. Please bring a friend. We're going to have so many items up for auction that we need some people to help us with them. So bring a friend. It'll be a great night. Again, November 5th, 7 p.m. here or online.
Good morning. Our call to worship words are by Ellen Carpels. Out of our separate lives we come, to walk this path for an hour or a day, for a week or a month, or a series of months or years. For this space of time we travel together, making much or little or nothing at all of the fact that another walks beside us. We can keep our eyes cast down, protecting ourselves from the pain we risk whenever we allow another human being to touch us, living safe little lives inside our sterile wrappings. Or we can reach out, risking a little or a lot or every coin we have, because we believe that loving and being loved is the only game in town. The choice is ours. Those who risk much lose much, but they are also the only ones who ever win. And now let us light our chalice together.
Please join me. The words are in your order of service. Especially join me because I can't see. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement, that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. Please stand as you are able and join in singing hymn number 1006 in the teal hymnal. Now is the time in the service when the ties that bind us together are spoken aloud. If you have a joy that you would like to spread the joy of in this congregation, or a sorrow that you would like help holding, please come up, speak your name and your joy or sorrow into the microphone, and drop a pebble into the water.
This morning I learned how to draw some really cool things, and I'm excited that I learned how to draw them, and I'm excited that I'm going to my friend's birthday party this afternoon, and also I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be able to go to the festival. There's something, I don't know what it's called again. To next Saturday because I have to go on a trip with my dad.
Good morning. Today, my dad would have been 75 years old, but instead I lost him 11 years and 3 months ago to prostate cancer that by the time they had caught it had metastasized to his bones. He had been exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam, and there is a direct correlation between Agent Orange and prostate cancer. And I mention this to you guys today because I had to advocate for him in the hospital. By the time they were able to catch anything that was going on, it was too late. And I did save him a few days by being able to speak up for him. And I just want to encourage you all to make sure that you are informed and that you're not just leaving your health or the health of your loved ones to the medical professionals. They are stretched thin, and even the ones with the best of intentions are going to miss things. So take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones, and happy birthday, Dad.
My name is Gus Haydorn, and
Jennifer Ratcliffe.
we got to experience the miracle of birth a couple of days ago, and we're grandparents now. And we're very excited about that. My daughter Gabrielle brought a beautiful boy into the world, Wells McLaughlin. So just wanted to share that.
Yay.
Good morning, my name is Bruce. Today is my mother's 96th birthday. She's back in Fort Myers. She will be moving back into her assisted living facility. I don't know why I don't know this. It may have been yesterday. It was supposed to be yesterday, but I didn't hear. But it'll be today, perhaps. She'll be back in her home, and that'll be great for her. So, happy 96th, Mom.
I have a joy. This week, Shook and I had a little bit of a scare because I found a lump in my breast, and I was like, oh great, third time breast cancer, but it turned out to be benign, and I'm fine. I drop this final pebble for those joys or sorrows that are still too tender to share. May we hold each other in our hearts until we are together again. Listen to me, I screamed into my cell phone. My parents, both on the other end, fell silent. It was not quite midnight, and the snow was beginning to fall in what would be one of the largest snowstorms in a decade. I had just dropped my friends off at their dorm. We'd planned to go out that night, but I'd abruptly insisted that I needed to go home, leaving them at the curb with an apology. Now I sat alone in my car, scared. I loosened my grip on the phone and told my mother and father that something was wrong with me and I couldn't take it anymore. I took a deep breath. My eyes welled with tears. I need help, please. I stared up at the towering dorm, until recently one of the few places that had provided a refuge from my crippling anxiety. Now being in that dorm had become unbearable. I had nowhere to go. My sense of self had crumbled. For months on end, my heart had raced, even in the most relaxed settings. I'd walked out during lectures. Studying had only made the symptoms worse, as had socializing, as had eating, as had drying my hair. I could not escape myself. I'd filled my ears with soothing music. I'd changed my room's decor to sunny pastels. I'd read empowering books. I'd tried to exercise it away. I'd prayed. But nothing had worked. After a long pause, my dad said, "We're coming to get you." They pulled up at 2 a.m. to find me standing under an overhang with my hands in my pockets and my jacket hood covering my head. I had nothing with me but my phone and a tube of mascara. I opened the back door and got in as if I were surrendering to authorities. In a way, I was. Staring through the falling snow at the occasional passing headlights, I decided to surrender to any stigmas that might come with a diagnosis of mental illness. It was the first step toward regaining my life. Written by Melissa Brady, November 2012.
Psychiatry.org defines mental illness as follows. Mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of these. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. Sounds like a pretty general definition to me. Experiencing life causes changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior. Let's try another one. The Mayo Clinic says, mental illness, also called mental health disorders, refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples of mental illness include depression, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. They continue. Many people have mental health concerns from time to time, but a mental health concern becomes a mental illness when ongoing signs and symptoms cause frequent stress and affect your ability to function. So in this definition, we have the terms mental illness and mental health, and mental illness being a mental health disorder, and that mental health concern can become an illness over time. One more. The National Alliance of Mental Illness says, NAMI is their name. NAMI recognizes that other organizations have drawn distinctions between what diagnoses are considered mental health conditions as opposed to mental illnesses. We intentionally use the term mental health conditions and mental illnesses interchangeably. They continue. A mental illness is a condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, behavior, or mood. These conditions deeply impact day-to-day living and may also affect the ability to relate to others. So in this definition, we have a mental illness as a condition that affects a person's thinking, feeling, behavior, or mood. Again, that's a pretty general definition. Simply reading a newspaper can affect a person's thinking, feeling, behavior, or mood. They also specifically say in this definition that they use the terms mental health conditions and mental illnesses interchangeably. This can be a bit confusing. Clinical psychologist Hugh Green writes of this confusion. He says, "A few months ago, I received a referral for a new patient with a history of depression who had made a serious suicide attempt. Perhaps unsure as to how to describe these episodes, the referring clinician wrote vaguely that the person had a, quote, history of mental health. Mental health as opposed to mental illness." That's what he's making the distinction of. The phrase mental health as opposed to mental illness is becoming now more widespread in its usage, and it's definitely less stigmatizing a reference, but it is confusing and it muddies the waters a bit. If we're talking about our physical health, well, health is something that we all have. But do we describe ourselves as healthy? And just what is healthy? What if one eats nothing but organic food, yet never exercises? Are they healthy? What about vice versa? What if somebody exercises a lot but eats nothing but junk food? Might they be considered healthy? Or what if they do both? What if they eat nothing but organic food and exercise all the time, but they have a whole host of addiction issues? Are they healthy? Being a Unitarian Universalist and being around a lot of Unitarian Universalists has helped me be more cognizant of and wary of binaries. That things are either this way or that way. That there's either a blue box or a pink box. Other things, that things are right or wrong. The mind likes to think in binaries. That's what it tries to do. There's a whole lot of stimuli that it has to process. So it tries to organize things in binaries, organizes things quickly. But really, the mind is kind of tricking us when it does that. It's taking a shortcut, an easy way out, because, in my opinion, life experiences are defined by nuance, shades of gray, the waters are muddy, and that life experiences tend to defy binary categorization. Am I in a healthy box or an unhealthy box? Do I have a mental illness? Do I not have a mental illness? So despite the definitions that I just kind of read a few minutes ago about mental illness being confusing and head-scratching, maybe that's exactly what is warranted. To pull the concept of mental illness out of its binary box and add a bit of nuance and confusion, gray areas to mental illness, mental health. Yes, maybe these definitions are actually refreshing in a way. Maybe they open up the landscape to look at mental health in a new way and to see it in its nuance, shades of gray, instead of a less realistic binary. Throughout life, we're often buffeted about by things that are beyond our control. One could be injured in a car accident that was no fault of their own and require medical attention. A tornado could sweep through town, destroying your home. One could be diagnosed with a mental illness, yet for some reason, a stigma and shame are attached to that diagnosis of mental illness, yet not attached to being injured in a car accident or having one's home destroyed by a climate action. It's just that one event being diagnosed to which attached is shame and stigma. Again, the person who got the diagnosis, the person in the car accident, the person whose home was destroyed, they did nothing on their own in any of those cases. I could even do something within my own power of control. I could choose to smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day, get diagnosed with lung cancer, yet the shame and stigma would fail to be associated with my willful action. Yet the failure of a gland to secrete a chemical or a hormone, or a random faulty brain connection, something not experienced by most, but definitely suffered by others, and again, through no willful action of their own, to this is attached stigma and shame. As Unitarian Universalists, who pride ourselves on the use of reason to a fault at times, what sense does it make to attach a shame or stigma to a mental health condition that is beyond one's control? It makes no sense. The result of unreasonable attachment of stigma and shame to a mental health condition, however, is that people end up feeling alone, isolated, closeted, and in fear. In her book, Held, Showing Up for Each Other's Mental Health, Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Barbara Myers writes, "It's common practice in most Unitarian Universalist faith communities to offer forms of pastoral care to people and families coping with trauma or physical illness. But all too often, mental illness goes unseen and unattended to. Mental illnesses are sometimes called no casserole diseases. People don't bring casseroles to homes where someone is hospitalized for mental problems. Discomfort, unexamined assumptions about mental illness, cultural norms isolate people and families who are in desperate need of community support." Barbara Myers. My experience of this congregation is that we are here at UUMAN very supportive of those who are coping with physical illness. And I would like to think that we'd be most supportive of those suffering from mental health challenges as well. Yet I'm sure we've been imperfect in regard to either, however. People who struggle with mental illness, it might be natural for them to feel that they struggle alone because they feel closeted and in fear. Yet they are not alone. The National Alliance of Mental Health says that 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year, that 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience serious mental illness each year. 1 in 6 youth aged 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. A Unitarian Universalist writer writes of her experience of being bipolar. She says, "I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 in my 20s, and I was petrified, afraid that I would end up in a psych ward, in a hospital just like my mom, or even worse, locked up in a mental institution for the rest of my life. I believed that I was not a normal human being. Now that I've been diagnosed with bipolar for over 35 years, the fear of being locked up in a mental institution for the rest of my life is no longer present in my life." She continues, "I cannot tell you exactly when that fear went away, but learning to accept my diagnosis helped. And learning to love myself spiritually, physically, emotionally gave me permission to be myself without reservation. Learning to love all of me, including the parts that I used to be scared of, made the fear go away." And in our reading this morning, a woman similarly indicates that her first step toward regaining her life was also found in the acceptance of, the surrendering to, her diagnosis. She writes, "I opened the back door of my parents' car and got in as if I were surrendering to authorities. In a way, I was. Staring through the falling snow at the occasional passing of headlights, I decided to surrender to any stigmas that might come with my diagnosis of mental illness. It was the first step toward regaining my life." Who amongst us can say that they have the courage that these women show, coming out, surrendering to their mental health diagnosis? It's asking a lot. I'm not sure that I could do what they've done. I'm not sure that I have their courage. The problem is, though, one shouldn't have to have such courage. One shouldn't have to feel the need to come out, to live in fear. I admit that I don't have the answers, but we as a congregation, as a community, as a society, as a culture, need to find ways to remove the stigma and shame associated with mental health. Remove that stigma and shame so that all of us, can be open to share the deepest aspect of ourselves. From Ellen Carpel's poem this morning, "Out of our separate lives we come. To walk this path together, we can reach out, risking a little or a lot. Because we believe that loving and being loved is the only game in town. The choice is ours. Those who risk much lose much, but they are also the only ones who ever win."
Nurture our spirit, strive for justice, transform the world. This is the mission of Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North congregation. And we achieve that mission through contributing our time and our talents. And you'll see these blue cards and seat backs in front of you. And if you would like to participate in this wonderful Sunday morning service, please check out the volunteer possibilities and indicate that you would like more information. And I'll be standing in the foyer after the service collecting cards. We also contribute our treasure. Through the Givelify app and the passing of the basket, the collection will now be received.
Thank you, Alex. We accept this sacred offering, generously given by our beloved members and friends. May we use it wisely and judiciously in service of our mission.
Please stand as you're willing and able and join in singing hymn number 1002, Comfort Me. Let us extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the spirit of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
The words of Henry Nouwen. When we become aware that we do not have to accept our pains, but that we can mobilize them into a common search for life, those very pains are transformed from expressions of despair into signs of hope. Go in peace and enjoy your week.